Welcome everyone to the Pro Trade Room Plus, the 7-year auction. My name is Lee Goldstein. I'm the trading director at 10 Minute Trades. Please remember, I'm not a financial advisor. All the trades we discuss are for educational purposes. It's possible to lose money trading futures, so please trade carefully. And let's get started. Let me get my sound correct. Too much technology, folks. Too much technology. I do the best I can. You know, when you're 90 years old, it's difficult to run the trade room. It really is. When I was young in my 70s, it was easy to do this. All right, enough joshing for now. Everybody here? Can everybody hear me and see? Everybody can hear me and see me? Give me a heads up that you're out there. It's been so hot. I can't remember a day that I haven't used air conditioning. I can't, and I don't like air conditioning very much. Yeah, it's true, Robbie, very true. So I think we have a very difficult YM day because the market's just too bullish. So I don't think so. Look, let's talk about the bond auctions. I'm sure that many of you are surprised we're even here. I want to welcome our friends on YouTube. We are streaming. Hit the like button. Give us a heads up that you enjoy these streams. Make a comment if you don't. Tell us what you like, what you don't like. We want to do more and more streaming, not necessarily trade rooms, but maybe just some more streaming, informational, educational. There's a lot we could do on YouTube that we're not doing. Okay, let's first things first, let's look at the DMM. But DMMs are very deceptive when it comes to the bond auctions. And the reason I say that is you could see winners on the DMM that were not available in real life because the moves are so small. And finally, I think we're getting an honest look at how the bond auctions have been behaving. The 7-year has been terrible. You're not going to have a winner in most cases if the move is 5 ticks. Because keep in mind, you might have 1 tick of slippage, you might have a 3 tick bracket. There's no profit. And then try to get filled on the price you want to get filled at. It's almost impossible. So I wanted to do another bond auction. It's just very difficult for me to give up on them. I'm not going to give up on them, but we may just take a break on trading them because they have not been giving us money. The 7-year, this is 0 for 6. Let's take a look at March. Just see if what I'm saying makes any sense. Were we able to get any profit in March? Because the move was tiny. When you have a three bracket, that doesn't give you a lot of profit capability. 1301.30, the orders go on the chart, okay? And the YM setup has been trading rather mediocre at best as of late also. And when we have a 500 point up day, it definitely makes me pause on the YM portion of this event on a quiet Fed kind of week. It's not a big Fed week. Next week is a big Fed week. So this was, interestingly, on the YM, it went through both our targets and filled none of them. That's frustration. And that was live cash. Live cash. Both targets were gone through and neither was filled on the YM. That generally is liquidity. On the bond portion of the trade, you could see very difficult to get profit when you have a max total of 5 ticks because you have a 3 tick bracket. You probably have a tick of slippage. Miraculously, the YM still didn't stop on that March trade. Okay. But the bond portion, I was trading in our Top Step account. I'm not even going to really talk about Top Step anymore because we're not using Top Step right now. Not because they did anything wrong. They didn't do anything wrong. It just didn't work for us. Okay? We'll leave it at that. So you could see in March, real tough to get a profit out of that report. Yes, it moved 5 ticks, but I couldn't get a profit, even though it just wasn't a big enough move. Let's look at May and see if there was a profit able to be gotten in May. You got to have a 10 tick move, 8 to 10 ticks. You gotta have that good move. Like we had in natural gas today. You gotta have that good bond move if you're gonna make money on these auctions. Now, I have to show you before we leave a rough draft of next week's schedule. I think in all the years I've been working here, I have never seen a schedule like next week. Never. It's amazing. It's potentially fantastic. Potentially one of the best schedules I've ever seen. Now, so this was March, we said, right? So I'm pulling back a little bit. 1301.30, the orders go on the chart. So you could see it's 1301.50 is when we got filled. ZB, again, when you have that 5 tick move, one of them's going to be probably slippage. 1 tick. See if I can move this thing. Now, I just could not get out with anything to speak of in that trade. I just couldn't. Couldn't. Now, on the left side, we were looking at the YM, March of 2024, and the YM offered up a little bit of profit. Okay? It offered a little bit of profit. Let's take a look at June because the YM is not on the report. So let's take a look at June. And then I want to show you something else that I think is important. Now I did a replay on June. I think I had COVID. That's what I'm thinking. So we had bonds on the right, YM on the left. And there was not much happening at all. It was a no fill on bonds. It was totally dead. I remember this month. It's pretty rare to get a no fill on this report. You'd think it would happen more. And the YM had virtually a very minimal reaction. What we're seeing is inconsistency in the YM starting to rear its ugly head. Let me show you. So look, the 7 year has not had a good trade in 6 months. That's the truth. Not in 6 months has it had a good trade. So we'll probably just going to watch today and add it to our data and make a decision as to whether or not we want to take a break from a couple of, maybe a month or two of just watching and not having a trade room. Very important though. It's important to look at what happened on the 10 year, the 30 year, and the 20 year, all just recently auctions. All right. So let's go in order. Let's take the 20 year, which was the 17th of July. Setup is basically almost always the same. Now, do I not have a good video on this? Let me see. Let's see if the video is valid or not. It may not be working. Darn it. Give me a second. There's so many videos. This one does not go to the end, but it does there, and it's very strange. So unfortunately, it just jumps. Let me just look. I'll put on give me 1 second. The 20 year auction. I mean, I try to keep every single video. Every now and then something happens or I don't record it. You never know. So I do believe that that video just didn't get recorded properly. Now, it is July 17th. I can grab it from the trade room. Let me just show you a couple other things first. So what I'll do is the 20 year auction on the 17th. Let me check the journal. I'm almost positive it was a loser. It lost on bonds, okay? We lost, it stopped out 3 ticks. I keep a very sloppy journal because I have videos also. So if I need to really see anything. So the 17th 20 year bond auction, it was a picture perfect Nick fill. So what does that mean? That means it just barely touched the bracket, okay? Just barely touched the bracket and then reversed for a stop out. The worst, most annoying way that a trade can fail. It happens. I mean, it's not the end of the world, but point being, the 20 year most recent was a stop on bonds. The 30 year, let's watch. YM on the left, bonds on the right. Took its time for the fill, 20 seconds. 25 seconds. Usually it doesn't take that long. Usually filled within 30 seconds. Boom. YM never hit the first target. Bonds ZN hit the first target. YM stopped me out. And then bonds, I was trading ZN. You could see very, very little follow through. Very little. Small profit, okay? You were able to get a little bit of profit, like 75 bucks. So YM not good, ZN not bad, not great. 78 bucks, it's okay, but it's not good enough on a regular basis. And let's look at the 10-year, which was on the 10th of July. And what's the point of this? Looking at the other auctions. The point is none of them are trading great, right? None of them are what we would call a great opportunity for profit right now. 1301.30. And remember, you can go through a week where you have two or three good trades to trade and a lot of inconsistent reports. This week has been somewhat strange because some of the earnings were inconsistent, difficult to tell what was going to happen because of a lack of the same way of trading the earnings. Look at that whipsaw on the YM, not a very friendly move. And the bond move, let's see if it's salvageable. Hit the first target, but it was in sim. Got to keep that in mind. I'm just watching price action now. I mean, going all the way 7 minutes after, and there was really one tick available for profit. There just hasn't been profit available on these reports. So why am I here? Why are we here? Because for so long there was a time when these reports were ATM machines. But it's now become so long ago that I hate to say it, but it's really time to bite the bullet, and maybe we should watch a couple of these because the reality is the 1 week, the 1 month that I'm willing to trade these now would be next week. Next week is a Fed week. In other words, the FOMC has their last meeting, the Fed has their last meeting of the summer. It makes the bond auctions more volatile. But I think today, we're dealing with a difficult YM in the sense that it's already up 480 points, 475 points. I'm not sure this bond auction is going to push it much higher. Our YM setup, for those of you that are going to take the risk, what I would consider, it's a breakout trade. 1301.30, we put our orders on the chart. What I would consider is watching it today. We have 6 months of the 7-year note auction not working well. All right? 6 months. So this is, to me, this is a watch. Yes, it's on the schedule. Yes, it's nothing wrong with practicing, especially the YM portion. 12 bracket on the YM. Targets, I think the targets should be shrunk a little bit to 12 and 20. All right? 12 and 20 on the targets because they're just not getting there. The stop is 15. And target one stop move. If the YM does hit the first target, I do want to move my stop to break even -4. Okay. I want to get the stop out of the way, but I want to protect a little bit of the profit also. So we'll call this YM, and then we will check the width of our brackets by setting the time to 0. There's our brackets. I, I cannot do a bigger bracket than 12 because there's not enough profit in the moves. Now, the one good thing is the YM has pulled off of the high so that there's room to move in both directions. Okay? Sometimes when you have a very bullish day and you're sitting right at that high, you take away your ability to move up much more. But now we've pulled back. I think that helps. If there's a decent move, that helps us have a long trade and not fight the high of the day. Okay? Does that make me want to jump on it? Probably not because of poor performance. 6 months of no profits and a little bit on the YM, not a lot. The ZB setup, which is what I'm going to test today, because like I said, I am not trading this live today. ZB 0924. Don't forget that gold is rolling. Tomorrow will be on 12. ZB 924. First, my YM should be ready to go. Okay. And our ZB setup, it's a breakout trade. 1301.30. Our orders go on the chart. Our bracket is 3. Our targets are 2 and 6. Position size 1 is a 1. That just means one contract for the position. Position size 2 is a 1. So you have 2 contracts, 1 position each. The targets, 2 and 6 ticks. And the stop is 3 ticks. Not a very big stop. I don't use target 1 stop move on the bonds because it's sometimes the moves are so small you don't want to get in the way of the trade. 1301.30, bracket of 3, stop of 3, targets of 2 and 6. Okay? I always label ZB and ZB. And like I said, poor performance made the decision how to trade this today. Okay? Good performance makes me want to trade live real money. I love trading. Let's check our brackets. Now you won't get a bracket until there's price movement. The software has to calculate, okay? It's got to calculate the bracket. So it can't calculate anything until there's a movement. So then I put my time back to 1301.30. Alan, just to answer your question on YouTube about the magnet trade, tends to work really nicely around news, around opens. Definitely works the best on busy times of the day, but it can be used anytime. Anytime you've got a trend occurring. So that should answer. 1301.30, bracket of 3, targets of 2 and 6, stop of 3. Very simple. All right. I will not cry if this has the best move it ever had. I mean, it's not going to, but it just hasn't been behaving itself. Now I can pull. I think I can pull. Let me see if I can. What was the date of that 20-year? It was July 17th. Let me see if I can very easily find that video. I'm curious as to whether or not the 20-year auction worked on the YM last month. So I did find the video and I am downloading it. Let's take a quick look. We should have time. If it'll download properly. So let's see if it goes. 2 seconds. And there it is. So this was the video I couldn't show before. The 20-year. Come on. Okay. 1301.30. We were trading the YM with Buell Knox, bonds in our cash account. It took its time filling, and that's okay. That's normal. You could get 30 seconds. 45 seconds is normally when we will cancel. Sometimes 90, depending on the report. But if I see that the news is out and there's no move, or I hear that the news is out in my headset and there's no move, then I'm going to cancel it. Because especially the bond, I mean both the bond portion and the YM portion, if there's not a burst, it really usually doesn't have a trade. These these definitely are burst events. Obviously, not every trade is a burst event. I happen to be making the members trade of the week video, and it was not a burst event on the members trade of the week. Hi, Chantal. You're very late. We're just simming them because there hasn't been a good 7-year note auction in 6 months. Now, look, you can set up a secondary, right? Secondary trade on an extra chart. Let me see if I can find an extra chart real quick. So if I set this up as a YM, I can certainly set up a reversal continuation if I wanted to, right? On the YM, maybe we'll get filled early or in the wrong direction. We'll know at 100%. One position, 15 tick target, 15 tick stop. Remember, all you need for a reversal continuation is one position, one target, one stop. Position, target, stop. Label it so you know it, right? And I'll throw it on my Buell Knox account. And when I enable it, I'll get my buttons. There's my buttons. So put the chart on Buell Knox so you see everything. But I won't do anything foolish. Okay, make sure everybody you check your time sync. I've been using the pre-trade checklist to help us get the time sync done quickly. You just open the pre-trade checklist, click time is, and then on my computer it opens up the sync screen on another monitor. That's why I have to pull it in. It just, when you have multiple monitors, things go all over. So the oldest living person in the United States is 115. Wow. I feel that old. All right. So oftentimes, not always, but oftentimes, we get a little bit of a move on the YM, sometimes before the bond portion of the move. But as we say, there's never always, never and never. Never always, never, never. Never, never land. That's where we are today in Never, Never Land. Before we go, I got to show you this schedule. I've never seen anything like it. It's absolutely insane. We need 5 trader moderators to do it. So as this trade room has gone on, the price of the YM has gotten higher and higher. Um, so I'm very interested in seeing what kind of response it gets. 1301.30, our orders go on the chart. I was really impressed by that natural gas move this morning. That was something. All right, so first things first, we'll keep an eye on the YM. I don't think, you can press the adjust button if you think you're getting too close to the orders before the auction. Right now, it's right at the orange arrow, which is the current price. That's where you want to see. Now, I hit the adjust button, but maybe I adjusted myself out of the trade. Maybe it was an early move to the upside. I don't think so because bonds aren't even making a peep. Now we have a trade. Now there's a real trade. I don't think it's impossible to know. I think you could get a test of the high here, right? I would put one of my orders at the high. I'd move my stop to safety if it gets there. And I was going to bring my target up further. But let's analyze. So bonds looked like just a really bad fill, right? But the YM, and this was part of what I was thinking about the difficulty of the YM. Could you trade it any direction, maybe, but long, which is the antithesis of this type of a report? Now I'm turning off the breakout because I just don't want it on. And I'm turning off the YM breakout because I don't want that. I'm watching the secondary move. And when you have two other setups that you're looking at first, to then take a secondary trade, you may miss it, right? You might miss it. Now, the difficulty here is we may just be watching the YM trading long, right? I'm not sure that it was from bonds, right? I'm really not. I'm really not because the bond didn't move at all at the time of the news. Well, no, at that early spot. It did move at the time of the news. So very complicated, a very difficult one. Very difficult one. But if either you left it completely alone or you tried to protect yourself from an early move, and we'll look at the video, it might have been better to just leave it completely alone. I'm not I'm not willing to take a short on the YM right now at 530 points up this time of day. Not willing. We could watch for a minute and then we'll look at the video. I mean, sometimes a trade is the market being the market, but we'll see. Let's see what the video shows. Now, initially, it looked like you might have a really great reversal here. If you turn your crosshair off, right-click the chart, go to crosshair, press local, and you can turn your arrow off, put your crosshair on, then you can see 52 to 16. It did have a nice pullback there. Did have a nice pullback there. Or it was, let's say, yeah, 52. Let's go to the bottom of the red. 23. Still pretty good. But you had to be, fast also. You had to be fast. All right, so right now it seems to be hanging around right in that area of the 30s. Let's see if it goes back up. But let's take a look at the video to see the moment of the news, what really happened there. Give me 1 second. All right, here's the video. All right, so 1301.30. Our orders are on the chart, okay? Orders are on the chart. Let me just show it a little bit early there. That push up with absolutely nothing happening on bonds made me think it was just a spurious move. So I pressed adjust, all right? And then it was quiet. I really believe that that was not the news. Now, there's the news. The bonds didn't even move in the direction. I mean, the YM didn't even respond to the news. It didn't respond. So, what were you trading there? I do think we were trading there a YM market that's up 510 points. It's not to say that if you still took the trade, the setup could have worked, but at least look at it for what it seems to be. All right? That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. Now, I'm happy that Ravi had a good trade. That's fantastic. Looking at the bond part of the trade, don't let me forget to show you the schedule before we go. So here's the bond part of the trade. Everything that we've been experiencing in the bond portions of these trades for months and months and months, just really, these reports, look, it went through the darn target in sim and didn't fill. That's like that you wouldn't have gotten filled in real life on that. So can you call that a Nick fill? I don't know if you call that a Nick fill. You call that a Nick failure, but it didn't fill. It changed direction, stops you out. I don't think it would have been better live. Honestly, I don't think so. I think that was a bad bond move. And I'm sure you'll see that reflected on the DMM next month. The YM, I think you just got yourself a great long trade on the YM. I'm not certain it's a bond trade. Okay? I'm not certain it's a bond trade. I love the bonds, Robbie. I love bonds. They have great trading on retail and on some of the big reports, jolts and reports that move the markets. Bonds are great. Jobs report, they can be great, but they're not great on these auctions right now. They're just not moving enough. They're just not moving enough. Okay, everybody, look at this. Look at this. This is not final by any means, but it's really fascinating. This is a crazy schedule. So, I'll tell you what's definite. McDonald's on Monday, Procter and Gamble. I think if you get up, if you're not in the US, the Spanish CPI. I think if I look at my notes, that's a pretty good trade. Caterpillar is a good trade. Earnings are complicated on Tuesday. We'll talk about that Tuesday. And then we have our API, Australia, and Chinese manufacturing at the same time. I don't recall, I have to look through my videos. I don't recall that happening at the same time. So that's very strange. Um, that's only Tuesday. Wednesday, I have to still do some testing. Boeing, we always trade. ADP, we're back at the beginning of the month. One of my favorite new reports, Employment Cost Index, a quarterly report. It's been really good. Chicago PMI, look at all the reports like at 10 o'clock on Wednesday. Chicago PMI pending home sales, crude oil inventories right after that. It definitely can be tricky to get all that stuff going at once. The problem earnings, Qualcomm and Meta at the same, almost at the same time. Never saw that one before. That got to do some research, extra research. British rate statement, normal Thursday claims, ISM, Amazon and Intel, that's normal. We probably, I think we'll have maybe a, we probably won't have a snap trade because Amazon will kill that. Amazon will kill it. Snap's not big enough to overcome probably the market move in Amazon, but we do have Apple. Apple owes us. Apple owes us a good trade. And then we got, I'm not sure yet about the energy if I'm getting up early on Friday. Swiss CPI, it's another possibility. The point is, and the jobs report, a lot of potential profits, a lot of potential profits, a lot of family trades, a lot of family money trades. I think it's an exciting week. Anyway, that's what I got. Anyone have any questions? I want to thank everyone on YouTube for watching. Thank you so much for joining us on YouTube. We really appreciate it. Hit the like button on your way out, and we'll see you tomorrow on YouTube.